welcome to Emma's Faith Diaries again. I just want to share something God was sort of saying to me about, this was probably last week I was really thinking about it. God had brought me to Mark 5 again, and I was reading through about Jairus' daughter and stuff like that, so I'll do that in another video. But I remember closing Mark 5, and in the middle of that, Jesus is disturbed by the woman with the issue of blood, and I sort of skimmed over that because I was just focusing on Jairus' story about his daughter, and it was either side. And I'm going to close the Bible. I said, Lord, why did I not read that bit about the woman with the issue of blood? And maybe 2 weeks ago, as I said before, I was watching through The Chosen, and this is one of the scenes that had come up because I'm pretty far behind. I've just been taking my time going through it, and it shows you the scenes of her touching his garment. And I was thinking about this, and I'd gone to sleep, and I got up the next morning, it must have been last Saturday night, and I woke on the Sunday morning, and that came straight into my head about this issue of blood. And the Lord showed me how that woman was naturally bleeding. It is actually a condition that some women have, and women would come into our GP surgery with this problem, and then we refer them to the gynae doctors, and they undergo sorts of procedures and stuff to help with this. So this is not an unusual thing to me, but again, it's very, very embarrassing for a woman. It really puts you it puts you out. You need to make sure, is there toilets, if you got everything with you, what if you need to change your clothes, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I started to think about this, and I was like, but Lord, what's the Holy Spirit saying about this? How is this relevant to my life? And God brought me to remembrance of the situation I had gone through. It was a really, really, really difficult situation, and my emotions were all over the place, and I was literally bleeding out. I was bleeding all over the place. I was telling everybody this and telling everybody that, and it had gone on for a while. I was so hurt and I was so broken. I had this issue in my life, and it's embarrassing. This issue was embarrassing to me, and every time I spoke about it, I would be embarrassed that I'm speaking about this again, embarrassed speaking about it over and over and over again. It wouldn't go away. I was literally bleeding my emotions all over people. And this is the way we can be, and it's not helpful, and it can be embarrassing because you're so hurt. You're hurting. She was hurting. She was sick, and God showed me how that was my heart was sick and it wasn't healed. I needed healing, and I'm bleeding my emotions everywhere, and people are looking at me, and this is what they said to this woman. She was unclean, but it's nearly like when you're so broken and you can't move past that situation or that issue that you have in your life, people stop talking to you and they push you away, and they're like, I can't cope with this, I can't keep talking about this over and over again, and then they avoid you. And it was exactly the same that was going on with this woman, only obviously hers was in the natural, but God was showing me about my spirit and how I was really sick, and then how she pressed in her faith. She just touched his garment. I'm assuming Jesus wore a long robe of some sort, because number one, he's a man. They wouldn't have wore trousers, but I'm sure it would have been long enough to cover his knees or whatever. That's sort of how I would see it. Maybe that's wrong, I don't know. But as he's walking through the crowd, she touches his garment, and he could feel the power leave. And God showed me, when I started to push through and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray, I wanted healed. I didn't want to be bleeding over everybody anymore. I was sick to my back teeth of discussing this over and over again. I had to let it go. I needed healed from this issue in my life that was bleeding over everybody. And I suppose that sounds a bit brutal, but that's what was happening. And just as you push out and you touch, literally brush by the garment of Jesus, because he was coming by, and Jesus was coming by me. And I knew if I just reached out and if I just prayed and I just believed and I had faith that this issue would be healed, that keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's what I done. It's not about myself. This is how the Holy Spirit was showing me what was going on in my life to get healed. And I must have touched Jesus' garment because he healed me. He healed my heart. And that issue just dried up. And it says immediately. So Jesus felt the power leave him, and she knew immediately that her issue of blood was healed. She was healed in her body. And a couple of days later, I was like, something's changed. I felt this, people would call it a shift in the spirit. I just felt healed, like I wasn't sick anymore. And I got better and better and better, and I stopped talking about the whole situation. I didn't give it any more gratification. I stopped talking to people about it. They stopped avoiding me because they knew that I wasn't crazy and kept discussing all these things. And I stopped bleeding over people, and God healed me. And that was just like a type and a shadow of what happened that woman. And of course, what did Jesus say? Your faith has made you whole. Go. You know, Jesus doesn't stop. Even when he's on his way by to do something else, he's maybe on another mission. He was clearly on the way to heal Jairus' daughter. And I'm going to do it because it was class. What the Holy Spirit showed me, and that was amazing. And but this was like sort of short and sweet. And I was just like, that was my life. And I was bleeding out all over the place. I was. It's not helpful to bleed over people with your emotions. But there's a time for healing, and those emotions can be going on for years. 12 years her issue was, and I felt like mine was like 12 years. Mine was maybe nine in total of things. My heart wasn't healed, but Jesus came by me, and I pushed in and pressed in prayer and believed that my heart would be healed and I wouldn't be suffering this anymore. And he healed me just like that woman. And if he's going to heal me in my heart, and there's something going on in your life that's so hurtful, you know, and you could go to counsellors. That was another thing. She had gone to a load of medics, and she'd paid a lot of money to get healed, and they made it worse. And God showed me this too. Now, I didn't go to counsellors, but you could go to counsellors. You could go to mediums. You could go to all these demonic things and have them try to heal you. It's not going to work. You're going to waste your money. You're going to come out worse. Go to the counsellor. The only counsellor who's free of charge, may I add, is the Holy Spirit, and he will heal you. Jesus will heal you. And don't make it any worse. Just let Jesus pass by. Reach out, touch his garment. Whatever part that is, it doesn't matter. And he will stop dead in his tracks from going to his mission. And the power, you'll suck the power out of him. The Holy Spirit will come over you, and he'll heal you. Heal your issue, heal your bleeding, heal your emotions, and you'll be made completely whole, and you'll be able to move on with your life, no matter how long that was going on for. And I just thought that was beautiful. That's just an example from my life. I'm sure there's a lot of people going through, maybe you see it's something that's going on in your life too. But I just thought it was amazing, and I just thought I could see Jesus' face. Who was that? And turn around to look at you. It was me. It was me, Lord. And he made me whole. Not because he has to, but because he's kind and compassionate, and his faithful love endures forever. The Lord's word will never return void. And he's still healing. He's still healing by his word and by the power of his Holy Spirit. And just because my leg wasn't hanging off, or I, in the natural, didn't have a bleeding issue, my heart was bleeding. So I want to really make that an encouragement to someone. If you're going through something and your heart is bleeding, and yes, you're bleeding over everybody else, and nobody wants to speak to you because they're like, her head's melted, or his head's melted. Reach out, pray, read the word, and the Holy Spirit will come by, and he'll touch you, and he'll heal you, and you'll be made whole. And I've actually never felt so whole and so happy and so at peace in all my life as I do now. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'll put the scriptures down below. Scriptures are alive. They're not old Bible stories. They're alive and relevant for today. So, that's it. Until I share again.